Keeping up with Microsoft Azure can honestly feel like you're trying to drink from a fire hose. The platform is just always changing. So what if you could get the absolute most important, most impactful updates all in one place? Well, that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We're going to break down the latest evolution of Azure. So with Azure constantly getting smarter, what are the key updates you really need to know about right now? We're going to cut through all the noise and focus on four main areas: making your infrastructure smarter, your databases way more powerful, your AI more accessible, and then we'll touch on the big shifts happening with the global platform. So let's start right at the foundation. Okay, first up, the foundational layer, the infrastructure itself. There are a couple of really key updates here, and they're all about giving you more precise control and honestly making your whole operation that much more robust. Let's kick things off with the Azure Load Balancer. See, before, you got these general traffic metrics, which they were fine, but it was kind of like looking at a blurry picture. Now, you can add a new dimension to see a full breakdown by protocol. And that means you can finally separate your TCP traffic from your UDP traffic. Trust me, for troubleshooting, that is a much bigger deal than it sounds. So why does that even matter? Well, when something goes wrong on your network, and you know it will, that distinction is absolutely crucial. It means you can stop guessing whether an issue is with, say, your streaming data or your web requests, and you can start pinpointing the exact source of the problem. You're going to resolve it in a fraction of the time. And moving over to storage, this next one is a huge quality of life improvement for anyone who uses SFTP to upload to blob storage. We have all been there, right? A massive file upload gets interrupted halfway through, and you have to start the entire thing all over again from scratch. Well, not anymore. Now those uploads are resumable. They'll just pick up right where they left off, saving you a ton of time and frustration. All right, let's shift gears and talk about databases. This is a big one. There are some seriously powerful new tools for Postgres and a major step forward for Azure Databricks. Now, before we jump into the details, it's probably helpful to just quickly remember what an extension actually is. You can basically think of it as an add-on, a module you install that gives your standard PostgreSQL database some brand new superpowers. And let me tell you, Azure has just added some really useful ones. So let's look at three of the big ones. First, there's PG Squeeze. This thing tackles database bloat. That's all the wasted space that builds up in your tables from frequent updates and deletes, which, over time, really slows down performance. PG Squeeze reclaims that space with zero downtime. Next up, the IP4R extension is an absolute game changer for managing network data. And finally, CredCheck gives you the power to enforce strong password policies right inside the database itself. Let's dive just a little deeper into IP4R for a second. Its real magic is that it can handle not just single IP addresses, but entire ranges using CIDR notation. The format with the slash that defines a whole block of addresses. This makes it incredibly efficient for building things like IP address management systems or storing your firewall rules directly in your database. Okay, now for Azure Databricks. The headline here is super simple, but it is massive. Serverless workspaces are now in preview, and this represents a really fundamental shift in how you run large-scale data analytics. So what's the big deal here? It's all about a shift in responsibility. Instead of your team spending all that time configuring, managing, and patching compute clusters, Azure just handles all of that for you, behind the scenes. This frees up your data scientists and engineers to focus completely on what they do best, actually getting insights from your data. Okay, on to our next section, artificial intelligence. The updates here are really cool. They're all about connecting AI to new data sources in some really novel ways and bringing some truly next-generation models onto the platform. So first, let's set the stage with something called the Azure Confidential Ledger. This is a service that basically provides a tamper-proof, verifiable log. Once data is written to it, it cannot be changed. This is critical for any application that requires the absolute highest levels of trust and integrity. Now, here's where it gets pretty revolutionary. Your AI applications can now talk to this super secure ledger using plain English. Just imagine a compliance app where you can simply say, log that this transaction was approved by Jane Doe at 3:15 p.m., and the AI just adds it to that unchangeable, tamper-proof record. This removes a massive amount of coding complexity and makes these high-integrity AI apps way more accessible. And speaking of powerful AI, the Mistral Large 3 model is now available on Azure. This is what we call a frontier model, and it's especially skilled at following really complex instructions, handling very long documents, and keeping the context straight over long multi-turn conversations. Plus, and this is big, it's multimodal, meaning it can understand text, images, and diagrams, which just opens up a huge range of new possibilities.
All right, for our final section, let's zoom out and look at some of the broader changes to the Azure platform itself. We're talking about a new physical location and a really important heads up on a service retirement.
For all of our customers down in Australia, a new Azure Extended Zone is now live in Perth. You can think of these as smaller, more specialized Azure regions that are built for a single metropolitan area. They're perfect for applications that have extremely low latency needs or for those with really strict data residency requirements.
And here is a very important PSA for anyone using Azure Machine Learning. The version 1 SDK is being retired. You have until June 2026 to get all of your projects migrated over to the V2 SDK. So the key takeaway here is pretty clear. Start planning that migration now so you can avoid any disruption down the road. So as we wrap all this up, what are the big themes connecting all of these updates? Well, it really all boils down to three things: giving you more granular control over your infrastructure, more automation to handle all that underlying complexity, and embedding more and more intelligence directly into the platform's services.
I mean, from pinpointing network traffic with precision to querying a secure ledger with just natural language, these new capabilities are opening up a whole new world of possibilities. It really just leaves one final crucial question. With all these powerful new tools in your hands, what are you going to build next?